Hey everybody, welcome to Go to Your Room and Make Stuff, the podcast about making art, any kind of art, all by ourselves in a room or a studio, maybe outside. No one is telling us when, where, or how, or any combination of those things. This is a podcast for solo artistic adventurers, those who are doing it and those who want to try it. Support, ideas, and just plain fun. Hey everybody, today's guest is Maddie Baird. Maddie Baird is a 13-year-old who is on the podcast as one of our first guests. Welcome, Maddie. Thank you so much for being here today.
I'm glad to be here.
Sweet. Okay, so we're going to talk about going to your room and making stuff. So before we dive into the details, let's get to know you a little bit better. Can you share a fun or unique fact about yourself? I just shared one, I know, that maybe our listeners are not aware of.
I am a 13-year-old in Sources of Strength, as my hoodie says.
What is Sources of Strength?
Sources of Strength is a leadership program at my school. It's at a lot of schools, actually, a lot of middle and high schools. But they do leadership activities and try and do things to help make schools accessible and available for everyone.
Sweet. Well, let's dive into art. Tell us about your art medium or art mediums.
I do a lot of different art mediums. I do writing, drawing, painting, 3D printing. I did voiceover, some acting.
And currently today, we're going to talk a little bit about your writing, right?
Yes, because that has been what is currently kind of pulling my interest.
Awesome. Yeah. So tell us about the room, go to your room and make stuff. What is your room like and how do you make stuff in there?
So I'm in my room right now. I'm actually sitting on my bed, which is where I make a lot of my stuff. I do a lot of my writing just with my computer and sitting on my bed or sometimes sitting at my desk. But most of the time it's on the bed, under the covers.
Sweet. And if you have multiple mediums, do you have an absolute favorite?
Right now, it's definitely writing.
Okay. So tell us more about what you're writing.
Well, I'm currently in the middle of writing 2 novels, but in total, I will have written 5 novels, because they're 2 separate series. I have a romance novel that I'm currently writing, and then I'm writing a story about twins that get separated across different dimensions.
So wait, you're doing 2 whole series?
Yes!
That's sweet.
The romance novel is part of a set of 3 books that I'm going to be writing.
Okay.
And then, the one about the twins is part of the set of 5 books. The twins book, that's called Together Forever, and then, the romance novel is called Maya and Scarlet, Friends and Enemies.
That's awesome. And I know you go to school right now. So what does a day look like for you? When do you do your writing?
It's really hard to get to have time for writing because I go to school on Vashon Island, even though I do not live on Vashon Island.
We live in Seattle.
Yeah,
West Seattle, officially.
a boat to school every morning, and then I take a boat back home every afternoon, which adds a 3-hour commute to my already 7-hour day. So 10 hours total, not including the drive there and back.
And do you ever write on the boat?
No, because I don't want to try and take my computer with me to school and back and stuff like that because it's complicated and I just don't want to write on my phone. It doesn't feel right.
So when do you write?
I end up writing at night most of the time.
I don't think that's uncommon. I think I know that one of your grandfathers for sure wrote at night. So As long as you get enough sleep to function and your grades are great, the mom interviewer in me is like, "Sure, honey, you can write at night as long as you get enough sleep."
Technically alive.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
And
So, okay.
fun-
So, do you have any mentors? Who, when, why, and why are they your mentors?
see, so I'm looking at her. Because you are my mother. She's my mom.
I did not set her up for this question, by the way.
No, she did not. She didn't. Um, but it's because my mom runs 3 businesses and started a podcast on top of those 3 businesses and has been an actor and is currently a voice actor and runs a school for aspiring voice actors. Plus she like her heart dissected and like she's still awesome. I don't know how you do it, but I have to say that it's very inspiring to me because well, I want to be like you when I grow up.
Without the heart thing. Look, skip that part, right?
Not without the heart thing.
Right. And then how about your dad?
My dad was the assistant head carpenter at Fifth Avenue Theater, but he took on a new job position. But he does like a bunch of props work and costume work and that sort of stuff.
So your dad's still at Fifth Avenue. When you say was, he's alive. Don't worry, people, he's alive. He's currently at Fifth Avenue Theater. And how is your dad creative? How does that motivate you?
like he's very creative when it comes to the things he builds, and he does some 3D printing too. A bunch of stuff like that. And it's just yeah.
He built my studios, so I'm the sound studios I'm sitting in. So I'm very grateful for that. Extremely grateful. Okay, so I have a couple of questions I ask everyone who comes on the show. The first one is, did anyone ever say exactly the right thing to you to get you to where you are today?
It's less the exactly right thing and more I've always grown up in an environment full of the arts and the arts community because my mom was a performer, an actor, and then moved on to becoming a voiceover artist. And then my dad works in the theater. They also went diving. And the arts community has just kind of always been around me. And I've kind of always known that if I chose to do something in the arts, people would always support me. And
You pretty much grew up at the Seattle
Yeah.
Children's Theater. Yeah.
I did, yeah. I like went to Fifth Avenue all the time when I was little, but I've kind of always been around the arts community, so I knew that if I wanted to pursue anything in the arts, I could always do it. And it didn't really matter what other people's opinions were because I had my opinion, and that's all that really matters.
This podcast is brought to you by the Seattle Voice Academy, and your host runs the podcast and the Seattle Voice Academy. This online voice school specializes in vocal health, singing, voiceover, and public speaking. Come check us out, seattlevoiceacademy.com. Sweet. So on the flip side of that, did anyone ever say exactly the wrong thing? And if so, how did you cope?
Yes. A couple old friends of mine, used to say that it was never going to be good, that it was never going to take off, and that really hurt me because I trusted these people and I cared about them. But to push past it, I realized I didn't need validation from a bunch of other people because it doesn't really matter what they want or they think about it because it's not for them. It's for me.
I think that's a common theme. I think that's going to come up a lot. And I really appreciate your saying that. I think that's gonna resonate with adults and kids, I think all ages, right? Um, did you ever feel like you needed permission to do what you do?
No. No.
Awesome.
I'm gonna do what I want. I don't care what other people
That's totally awesome. So when you are not creating, what do you love to do?
read. I love to read.
See, I love that because so often lately in the books I've been reading, there are people talking about the fact that brand new authors don't read. They just want to be heard. Or brand new voice actors who they come to Seal Voice Academy and they don't really listen. They just want to be heard. Man, learning to study the art that you are learning is a big deal. What are some books you would recommend?
Well, thank you for that introduction of my books.
Not the ones you've written. These are ones she loves. She's reading these
Yeah.
right now. Yeah.
No, I'm writing books right now, but these are books that I read and I fell in love with because they're
For
amazing.
those of us who are listening, if you're listening to the podcast, if you're not on the website, tell us the titles of those books.
So, this book is She Gets the Girl,
She Gets the Girl, okay?
by Rachel. I don't know how to pronounce her last name.
I'll get the authors in the comments below. If you guys go to our website later, I'll have links to both these books. What's the other book?
And then the other book is Her Royal Highness by
Her Royal Highness.
but this one is Rachel Hawkins.
Rachel Hawkins. For those of you who want to go find these books. What in particular is so great about these books?
It's that I really like the plots. They're both romance novels. Because that's kind of what I've been into lately. But Her Royal Highness is about a school in Scotland and about an American exchange student going to a school in Scotland and falling for the Scottish princess. And I want to add a comment about the Scottish princess.
Which is?
Well, I was introduced as Maddie Baird, so my last name is Baird. That is a Scottish clan because
It is.
I have heritage that's Scottish. The clan name they chose for the princess and the royal family in this book is Baird.
Yeah. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's cool, but at the same time, you know, it's also very strange. Like, just reading in your book and coming across something and it being like, yes, Miss Baird. And I'm talking
Yes.
Princess of Scotland. Like,
That's nuts. Maddie, thank you so much for being on the show. Is there anything else you want to add to this conversation? Are there places people can get your 3D prints? Later, we'll post all about your books as they're published. Anything you want to add?
for any 3D prints, that's more, I have an Instagram account, Mad 3D Prints.
Mad 3D prints. I'll put the link. So anyone who's listening, you can go back to the website and I will have a link to her site. Maddie, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. And I can't wait to read what you have written. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to Go to Your Room and Make Stuff, the podcast for artists of any kind who want to make art by themselves. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast in all the places where you find podcasts. Find us on social media. And if you ever have any artists you would like to see featured, please let us know. Now, go to your room and make stuff.